This one's on too?
Yes.
On. You get a house. You get a house. Not you. You. Welcome to your one-stop shop for everything you need to know when it comes to buying your very first house. My name is Braden Hatch and I'm a mortgage lender. I have personally helped over 1,000 families in my mortgage career get into their very first home. And I have helped all different types of people. I'm talking people with bad credit, self-employed that showed no money on their tax returns, no money saved up. Whatever your excuse is, I promise you I've seen it or seen worse. In fact, does any of this sound familiar?
My credit sucks, so I can't buy a home. I don't have any money saved up, so I can't afford a home.
I'm actually self-employed, so I don't really report a whole lot of my income on paper.
I mean, I'd like to buy a house, but I don't think I can. I don't know why, but I can't.
Only rich people can afford to buy homes.
I'm waiting for the market to crash.
No! No!
So I've been doing mortgage loans for over 9 years now, and I have heard every single one of those excuses from someone at some point. And while I don't have time to go over every single one of those excuses today, regardless of your situation, regardless of your excuse as to why you don't think you can become a homeowner, I promise you I can make it possible. So keep watching. I'm gonna share a lot of really cool information. It all starts with education, right? That is the whole purpose of this channel right here. I want to educate you on the ins and outs of the home buying process to make it a little less scary and a little less complicated. Because there's a lot that goes into it. You don't need to keep up with all the current mortgage laws and all the new programs that come out. That's what I'm here for. But it does start with desire. You have to be able to know that you want to purchase that first home. If you're not, you're probably, I don't know why you'd be watching this video in the first place. So I know you're ready. Let's get you there. Let me tell you the story of when I bought my very first house. 2009 is when I bought my very first house. I was 23 years old. Had no idea what I was doing. I'm probably just like you. I knew I wanted to buy a house. I knew I needed to buy a house, but I didn't really know what went into it. At that time, I was working at a bank, so I talked to the banker that was there and helped me get pre-qualified, told me what I could afford, and then I went out and got with the real estate agent, and they showed me the homes that were available in my price range. They were pretty shitty homes for the most part, mostly short sales, foreclosures. I did not have a very big budget making $11 an hour as a teller for the bank. It was kind of a long process. I don't want to get into all of those details, but I did end up finding one. Crazy experience, but I ended up actually getting a really good deal, and that home set me up for just so many great things, and it allowed me to purchase this home and my next investment property, and it really just helped set me up in my entire life and career to be better off financially. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I want to show you that you can do the same thing. If I can do it which was considered a kind of a rough time to buy a house with not the best credit and not making that much money, you can do it too. In my channel, you're going to find several different resources about everything you need to know when it comes to first-time home buying. Different programs that are available for first-time home buyers, different down payment assistance, loan types, down payments, how to budget, things like that. And if you are ready to apply today, I personally am licensed in the states of Arizona, California, New Mexico, Colorado, and Texas. So if you are in any one of those states, I personally can help you. If you're not, that's okay. This information is universal and it will give you everything you need to know about buying that very first home. If you are ready to apply today just to see where you stand so we can figure out your budget, there's a link within the description of this video that goes straight to my website where you can apply for that purchase loan right away. If you're not quite ready, that's okay. Towards the end of the video, I have a special offer just for you. Just like with anything that's worthwhile in life, there is a little bit of work involved. So don't think that purchasing a home is going to be all butterflies and unicorns and a fun process. It is fun, and I try to make it as simple as I can, but it is a complex process, so I just want to prepare you for that. So what are the benefits of home ownership? The first one is equity. Once you buy your home, the equity is the value or the increase in value. So typically when you purchase it, it's going to go up and up in value. If you've paid attention to the housing market over the past few years, you've known that values have been at an all-time high, starting in 2020 when they went way, way up, and then they kind of went down and then they flattened out. That's normal. The overall curve for home ownership, although there might be some economic times where there's dips in that value, the overall trend is always, always up, especially when you're looking at the long term. That's the biggest benefit I can attest for when it comes to home ownership is that equity. Tax advantages. Once you become a homeowner, a whole bunch of new tax advantages open up. I'm not gonna go into all the details, but just know there's a lot of great tax credits when it comes to home ownership. Building wealth. This stat still always blows my mind. 90% of millionaires made their millions through real estate. There's a ton ton of money involved in real estate. So if you're looking to better your financial situation, it all starts with homeownership, and it starts with that very first house. How about fighting inflation? That's a word we're hearing a lot right now, especially in the news. Inflation just means that your dollar does not go as far as it did in the past. We all know that when you take $100 to a grocery store now, you don't walk out with near as much as you did 5 to 10 years ago. That's because inflation is constantly moving up, but you can combat inflation through homeownership. Where are my rough credit people at? Homeownership will also help you build credit, because you're gonna be making a fixed payment every single month. That's gonna help build your overall credit history, and adding a mortgage itself just helps your credit history overall. And it's just a great sense of community. Once you own a home, you get to learn who your neighbors are and be a part of a community and just make new friends. If you don't wanna make new friends, that's okay. You can just sit in your home and not ever talk to anyone either. You can do what you want because it's your house. So next, we need a plan. We already talked about education. We know why it's important, so now we gotta plan and make it happen. So I'm gonna share some really cool information that you can use today to help show you how you can actually figure out how much home you can afford. So do this at home. This is a really easy exercise. What I want you to do is just pull your most recent month's bank statement. Go through the money that's coming in and the money that's going out. That'll give you an idea of what your budget is, because then you can see exactly the dollars that are coming into your account every single month and the dollars that are leaving. So now that you've got your income in one column and outgoing expenses in another, I want you to focus on the fixed outgoing payments. I'm not talking about, money that you spend at the grocery store, how much you spent on gas. Those are expenses, but the ones we look at for mortgage are gonna be the ones that are being reported to credit. So like your auto loan, your credit cards, your student loan payments, line of credit, anything that has a monthly payment associated with it that is on your credit report, that is your debts or your liabilities. I want you to total all of those up to give you that dollar amount. And then we still have our income totaled up as far as how much money you make monthly. So we've got those two numbers, and now here is where we can use these two numbers to figure out exactly how much of a mortgage payment you can afford. So for this example, I'm gonna show you how to do this, and then you can plug in your own numbers and do the exact same thing. So let's say you've got a car payment of $650. Between credit cards and other payments, you've got an additional $700 in monthly payments going towards those debts. So $650 plus $700 is $1,350. Now let's say for this example that your income is $6,700 per month. Take that $1,350 and divide it by your monthly income, in this case $6,700. That's going to give you your debt ratio before the mortgage payment. In this case, it's about 20%. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna reverse engineer that number so you can figure out how much of a mortgage you can actually qualify for in this example. So a good rule of thumb is 50%. For the most part, we're gonna be able to qualify you at a 50% debt ratio, depending on the loan type, credit score. Again, there's a lot that goes into it, but 50% is a good rule of thumb just to figure out what you can actually afford before you actually go into getting pre-qualified. You got your income number. You're gonna times it by 0.5. Take that number and deduct your total amount of debts that you have. That number that's left over is the mortgage payment you can afford or qualify for from a pre-qualification standpoint. So for this example, we take our $6,700, we times it by 0.5, that equals $3,350. Can't forget about our debts. We got those $1,350 in debts. We're gonna deduct that from the $3,350, and that leaves us with $2,000, which means you can comfortably afford a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. Does this mean that you have to get a mortgage payment for $2,000? Absolutely not. This just gives you a base idea before you get into that pre-qualification to see how much of a home payment you can actually afford. Go ahead and put it in the comments. If you did that calculation and you're currently paying more in rent than that number has there, hit me up in the comments. I want to know about that. Or if it's less, I'd like to know about that too. So just comment more or less. I'd like to see. Now that was a super basic, simple calculation. So what is that, in this case, $2,000, what does that equate to in a purchase price? Well, for that, you are gonna need to talk to a mortgage lender. There are way too many variables to get into a simple calculation to figure out a price point on that, because it's gonna depend on your credit score, the loan type, the down payment, the type of property that you're doing. There's a lot of other factors that go into it. So once you've kind of got that baseline number, that's when you wanna talk to a mortgage lender if you wanna go the next step deeper. Or if that dollar amount was super low, like maybe $500 or something, and you're not gonna be able to find a house for that, well, there's ways to increase that number. The first one would be by reducing that monthly debt. If you've got too much monthly debt, that takes away from how big of a mortgage payment you can have. Or on the flip side, make some more money. Easier said than done, right? Of course, we'd all like to make more money if we could, but there's a lot of things that you can do. We could also add a cosigner, someone on the loan with you that shows additional income so that we can qualify for a higher amount. Or like I mentioned before, pay off some debt, get yourself into a better situation so you can afford a higher mortgage payment. And if you do need help with credit, that's okay too. That's one of my specialties. I actually love helping people with credit. I've seen all kinds of really bad credit scores, but if you don't know how to get it to where you need it to be, that's where I come in. I'd be happy to show you how it's done. If you're ready to apply today, the link is within the description. If you're not and you stuck around for the whole video, here's where your gift comes in. I have a free first-time homebuyer guide that I want to give you. It's a fantastic PDF that goes through all the steps of everything that you're going to need to know when it comes to buying your very first house. It's absolutely free. It goes through kind of all the details. Plug in your email address once you get to that link and it'll send it straight to you along with an email with all of my contact information. If you do have any specific questions, just respond to the email and I'll get back to you and we can help you out right away. Yes, you can become a homeowner. I promise you it's possible. All you gotta do is start with education, desire, and we'll get you there. Thank you guys.